sure, but asking like, here's the situation, now what should I do? I just cracked open a brand new pack of, I feel a sneeze. Every time. A brand new pack of cinnamon trident. My neighbor just started loud car over there while I was sneezing, so you guys missed the startup of that. I'm sure you're disappointed. I know it's like a, channel classic here. Alright, before we get into it, you know the drill, you know the deal. We gotta do some channel maintenance, channel hygiene. So, if you're new here, welcome to my nonsense. If you're old here, welcome back. Oh geez, if you're new here, please consider hitting subscribe. And if you're old here, go double check. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like. If you like, leave a comment. It could be anything related to the video. It could just be a hello, a few emojis, whatever, as long as it's cool and respectful. Hit the notification bell. As always, I will link my tip jars down yonder in the description box. No pressure whatsoever, but every $1 or $2 helps. That is what allows me to continue to make content. Also, you are invited to my Patreon. I know not everybody can come, but you can't say you weren't invited. The link to my Patreon is down below, and I post a lot over there. So this is a new Reddit. This is a new subreddit that I just joined, and we'll see. It's called What Should I Do? A place for both small decisions and serious decisions, both. This one is labeled as a serious decision. What should I do to this girl who has a boyfriend but wants to sleep with me? There's this girl, let's call her Sandra. Sandra has been very obviously making advances at me and has gotten very blatantly obvious to the point where last night she outright asked me to sleep with her. I knew she had a boyfriend, so I questioned her on this, although I would never say this to a person in real life. I've used a different name for her on here, so I believe it's okay. Sandra is a girl who has been SA'd numerous times. And it goes into those details a little bit. She told me she was very frustrated, and the way she dealt with this pain is to be promiscuous in between relationships as a way of taking back her sexuality. And ever since she knew who I was, she wanted to sleep with me. Sandra says she needed to sleep with me just once to fight her constant urges, as she believes cheating once in a relationship will give her clarity. This is just sad. And make her treat the other person in the relationship amazingly. And she said she's done this with an ex and it really helped. Whilst I don't agree with her method or anyone doing this, her mind is so effed up from trauma. I have even mentioned so far to the point where I believe genuinely helps her, and where she believes it genuinely helps her, as she's used this in a relationship before and ended up staying with the guy for a long time, and she told me she misses the good times with her current boyfriend and she feels detached now. I promise people of Reddit I was speaking to her for maybe like 4 hours trying to find an alternative solution. But this is clearly her own twisted way of coping with being cheated on and herself numerous SAs. And her boyfriend feeling detached and her wanting to amend their relationship. I'll also give you full details because I deserve to be honest to myself and you guys anonymously. The second reason for me doing this is I've come out of a 9-month-long relationship. Not that long, but I honestly was in love with her and I've been finding it really difficult since then. I've been encouraged by numerous friends both ways and girls to hook up. I know this wasn't what they had in mind particularly, but I don't have much going for me, and after a long talk, I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, believe it might be the best for her relationship and me. I know it sounds weird, but you just have to understand my perspective here. What should he do? He should not. Should he probably seek out a short term, not like full on with somebody else, but he needs to get out there, right? Just go to some he knows her traumas, and he's already questioning like her why. And just don't knowingly sleep with, I mean, I feel like this goes without saying, but don't knowingly sleep with people that are in a relationship. Whether you're a man or a woman or anything in between, anything on the spectrum, like, you go do you without harming others. And who would be harmed in this? The guy that got cheated on, right? And also, what if he finds out? What if this guy finds out? You're gonna be like, oh no, bro, I was doing you a favor because she thinks it's gonna make your relationship better. If that's the case, then that's between them as a couple. And they can go do what they want to do. And they can find their little niches or whatever, but no, hard no. Okay. Let's find one with a lot of, or a decent amount of reacts. I think that it's a new thread because there's 36 people online, and some of the other threads have a lot more than that, but okay, this one says that it's solved now, but before I tell y'all what happened, let me give you a backstory as to why I don't really like my boyfriend's girl best friend. My boyfriend and her have been friends since they were in middle school, high school. They became friends because she was dating my boyfriend's best friend at the time. Unfortunately, my boyfriend's best friend / her boyfriend passed away, which led to them getting close. When my boyfriend and I started talking, I actually met her and we all hung out together. She was nice and cool to be around. I even told my boyfriend, hey, I really like your best friend. This all changed when my boyfriend and I started dating officially. She would start blowing up his phone, but blowing up his phone. She would send him 10 text messages in a row. She would start calling him and leaving voicemails if he didn't pick up. At first, I would think, okay, maybe it's an emergency or something. But no, all she wanted to do was hang out with him alone. Go to bars with him. To get massages. With her, for him to go to her apartment. To get massages with her. What? Who's massaging who and what? I obviously started to get suspicious because not once did she consider to invite me, knowing that my boyfriend was taken. Obviously, over time, I started to get suspicious and jealous, and not because I'm insecure, even though she is a pretty girl, but because I felt disrespected. Eventually, I confronted my boyfriend and told him that if I ever had something going on, or if he ever had feelings towards her before and he denied it, telling me he would never do that to his friend that passed away, and that he only saw her as a sister. I don't blow up my brother's phone. We don't go get massages together. I also have a male best friend, and we don't do any of that stuff. But I think I've read this, and I think what's coming later, we do. Okay, obviously that did not sit right with her, and she still continued to do the same thing. My boyfriend has always been there for her whenever she needed something. But now that he is taken and can't be there, she gets upset. I won't make my boyfriend choose between his friend and me because I would hate to be put in that situation too. I trust him not to F things up. But if he ever does, then that's on him and his loss. He has distanced himself a bit from her for my sake, but he says that still his friend at the end of the day. Okay, so that's their situation. Now there was some kind of concert thing involved because it says update about the concert. Yes, I did. So I don't know why it's not here, but I did see it. And this girl had been considering buying her boyfriend tickets to a concert to some group he liked. And then she happened to see in his phone that he bought tickets for himself and his saw that made me join this group, or this subreddit, I saw the comment saying, like, dump him, but let's see. Now, update about the concert. Yes, I did talk to my boyfriend about it. Some of y'all are saying why I didn't tell him that I was buying the tickets while it was supposed to be a surprise. The whole point is not to tell him. No, I am not a diehard fan of this band, but I do listen to their music here and there. Apparently, his friend texted him about the concert and asking him if he could go with her, which he agreed. He bought the tickets for both of them and that she will pay him later for hers. That way the seats would be together. Now don't get me wrong, I still think it's effed up that he didn't care to ask me if I wanted to go. I like the band. If not, he would have I don't know. I did ask him why he kept saying no when I asked him if he had bought himself something recently, and he said it's because the concert is months from now and he thought I was talking about something related to his fish tanks or truck. He said he didn't expect me to buy concert tickets, and if he knew, he would have never bought them. Also, the reason I went through their messages is because I saw that she texted him, "Let me know when you get the tickets." That's when it hit me, and that's why I asked to go through his phone so I could double confirm. After having a long talk, he did offer to go with me instead. I told him to talk to his friend and let her know ahead of time that she can find someone to go with her. I guess we have to see what her reaction is once she finds out he won't be going with her anymore. I feel like it was a big miscommunication on his part for not telling me. What do y'all think? And then there is a link right here to her original, like, oh my god. My boyfriend bought tickets for him and his best friend to go to the concert and didn't tell me about it. Now, me and my guy best friend, we do go to concerts together. It's actually like we're kind of a group of three. Me, my best friend, and him. We're like a three stooges, kind of. We've been that way for years and years. And we'll go to a concert, just any two of us, or any way you slice it, you know. And the last thing we went to was, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Vaughn. You know who I'm talking about. Me, him, and his adult son went. And so we do all that stuff together, but I have never blown up his phone. Or we never went to massages. Actually, he did have a girlfriend one time. Well, he's had some girlfriends over the years or whatever. And she kind of was like questioning our relationship and stuff. Like, ew. But he's like, I don't think you get it. And she's like, so what? Is that like a sister to you? He's like, no. He said, it's like a brother. And I was like, yeah, I think that kind of hits it more on the head. So, any unanswered questions? We're both 24. The concert tickets were for Pierce the Veil. No, I did not make him choose between who he should go with. He offered. I don't go through my boyfriend's phone. I asked if I could see the text because they had mentioned concert tickets. I do believe a man and woman can be friends. I have guy friends too, but I never once gave him a reason not to trust me. And I have always included him in all my activities. Now, can a guy and a girl be friends? Yes. I've always had some guy friends. Actually both my daughters, my oldest daughter had a guy best friend for several years. And he was not into girls. So that was, that's just to add that, but yes, you can. And then my youngest daughter, for many years, she was the only girl at like a lot of boy birthday parties. Her younger years, in high school, she's made several friends that are girls, but throughout the year, and she still has all her guy best friends, and then in high school, she's got guy best friends too. wait to see if he tells her and then her response and how he responded to that, like if she throws a fit about him going with you. So he says, fine, I'll tell my girlfriend I can't go with her or something, just leave, he isn't worth it. But if he actually stands by you and says, no, I'm going with my girlfriend, you can find someone else to go with, we know he's being truthful. Somebody said to that, she's not gonna like it because it looks like his girlfriend made him cancel, which is what happened. I don't see a reality where he doesn't say this is what happened, no matter how she tries to spin it. That's the other thing, is like, okay, so they did have plans, which he should have just been like from the start, like, oh, me and what's her face are going to that band she likes. The other thing too is like they're younger. Theo Von. So like, let's just use that event as a thing. And I was telling my husband, I was like, oh, Paul got tickets for Theo Von. And listen, before Paul wastes all his money on concert tickets, okay, he's like stupid with his money. But I was like, do you want to go? And he's like, I don't really like Theo Von. So like, if my husband was a diehard Theo Von fan and just me and Paul went, that would be rude, right? Or even like if he was like a pretty, like, oh, I love Theo Von, I would feel like I was leaving him out. But he's like, have fun. And I'm like, oh, we will. And we did. Okay. Your boyfriend's friend is behaving that way because she wants him to be her boyfriend. That's likely, I think, in this case. Is your boyfriend aware that this girl obviously wants to date or sleep with him because she does? The way she was blowing up his phone was because she was friend-zoned and was hoping he would see her as more than a friend eventually, but when you and he started dating, she spiraled and started getting him to try to pay more attention to her. She is trying to poach your boyfriend. You need to talk to him about this because she will eventually make a move on him and try to get him to cheat. Yikes. I get that feeling from this. I do. I feel like maybe he doesn't realize, or maybe he does, that she isn't feeling the same way he is. I don't know. I feel like my stomach is about to growl, so if you hear some rumbling, my bad. Okay, this one, we'll do one more. It's labeled a serious decision. I'm very tempted to cut ties with my father, or at least distance myself from him. As the title states, I am very tempted to cut ties with my father, or at least distance myself from him. Why? Well, let me just clarify. It makes a bit more sense. I'm a farmer's daughter, the eldest daughter to be exact. Oh, cut ties. Okay, girl, I feel you. So if I'm being honest, I've been dealing with this from a very young age, and let's just say I've had a complete gutful on how I'm being treated when all I do is try to help, whether that is be with moving livestock, driving trucks, guiding heavy machinery through tricky spots, etc., including when I'm following instructions given me to do something to help out. A good example of how I'm treated when things go to shit just happened yesterday. I was trying to help a heavy piece of harvesting equipment through a gate set up at a 90-degree angle, and it was a very tight squeeze to say the least, and if I'm being honest, the gateway wasn't big enough in the first place to get through. Well, you're the oldest daughter. Make a miracle happen. However, the closest end to me kept catching up on the big stay post to the angle of the approach. When I told him over the two-way we were using to communicate that he was going to have to move back and turn slightly to the left, he yelled angrily at me, I know. For the next 45 minutes, there goes my stomach, he continued to yell and swear at me, as well as the look on his face was enough alone to make me cry, as I hate being yelled at for some reason, and this isn't my fault at all. just to let my body ride it out every time. Disassociation, ma'am. I come out of it blank. I can't remember much besides the high emotions of sadness and anger, and I'm usually left feeling numb as well on top of it. When he isn't yelling and swearing, we get along relatively fine, but growing up, my relationship with him has been quite rocky for multiple other things. After what happened yesterday, I have been putting up barriers around myself and keeping things short, simple, polite with him. And normally I'm more talkative with him. I think he has noticed the change in how I'm talking with him right now. He has not even apologized for yelling at me over something that wasn't my fault and saw me crying in front of him after the incident, but never once asked if I was okay or why I was crying. Then, not even an hour later, he was acting as if he didn't just yell at me and really hurt me. Right now, I don't want to talk with him unless I have to, and I want to talk to him once I'm calm enough and tell him that the way he treats me is really affecting me and has been, as I'm afraid to make mistakes when I try something new in fear that I will be blamed or yelled at. Just writing this was really hard for me, and I apologize if there are errors or anything, as I can barely see through my tears and I'm deeply over everything I can think of, making me more and more upset. This is more outline of things, as there's a lot more, but I can't bring myself to put into words. All I can say is he has never raised a hand at me or my siblings. I feel like completely cutting ties with him is a little bit harsh, but I also feel like distancing myself from him isn't harsh enough. Though two wrongs never make a right, eventually when I sit down with him, I fear he won't take what I say seriously and understand how it's affecting me. And he might not. I do think that step, though, will relieve her from the guilt of if she has to cut ties. Look, I sat down. I made myself clear because he doesn't know how insensitive and overbearing and jerky he is. So I sat down and I told him, and it didn't get better, and so that was that. And I'm not saying he's gonna be perfect after that, but he might catch himself. If you see the change, if you see the desire to change, if you see some growth, oh my god, my stomach. And then she can go on about her life until he either has a growth spurt, a mental growth, an emotional growth spurt, or whatever. Somebody said you could cut him off, or you could also refuse to work with him when he starts yelling. That's a good step too. I don't help people out that are acting like I'm setting a boundary. And now you better figure it out. And this is so hard for eldest daughters because exactly what happened here. I did for years and years and years, just shut down and just solve a problem. Just shut down and be the solution. Just shut down as your body is breaking down and as your mental health is breaking down, and just be the solution and just smooth it over for everybody else. So I get it. It's a lifelong journey to break free from that. But you have to. I worked with a doctor that sounds a lot like your dad. Whenever he was frustrated about something, he'd start yelling at the first non-peer employee that crossed his path. Whenever he tried to do that with me, I wouldn't say anything. I just turned and walked away. No arguing, no debating, no engagement. It worked really well for me. You can give it a go if you want. Just set the two-way down and leave him do his tantrum. Just walk, leave him. And if he's yelling, don't even turn around. Don't just go get your keys. Go for a drive. Go for a walk. Go for a coffee. Go for a good scream in the woods. Best wishes to you, and do what you need to do. I think a little talk therapy wouldn't go amiss. Okay, somebody said write him a letter. That is a good way to communicate with people that don't like to listen or get defensive right away. Or if you have trouble, which a lot of times when you shut down, you're going to have trouble in a real conversation too, because the first they're going to say something defensive and you're going to go right back into like, okay. So write him a letter telling him how his shouting makes you feel acknowledged, that he's been a good father in other ways, if he has. But tell him his outbursts have damaged the relationship and caused you to feel less respect for him as a result. It's too soon to cut him off without giving him the opportunity to put things right. End the letter by saying that you would appreciate sitting down with him and hearing what he has to say. This makes it very clear that you expect a response. If he ignores the letter or fails to respond in any way, move out and leave him to get on with it. I think this is good advice. Written communications will allow him to reflect before he even responds. Yes, good idea. Alright guys, I gotta get going. It is a work day for me. I got up extra early to film, but I must carry on. So if you watched this all the way to the end, thank you very much. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, good night, sleep, and I will see y'all real soon. Toodaloo.